another beautiful Run Pure Sports Monday. Swing for the fences for a beautiful August day. It's usually Game Log Monday. Obviously, it can't be Game Log Monday without Big T, or could it? Steve, maybe we'll look at some game logs. Who knows? As always, go ahead and if you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, we're coming right up on our 20,000th subscriber. If that's you, maybe you'll get one of the elusive RPS notepads or some other type of swag. We'll see what we have. But go ahead, click a like, subscribe, do what you do. As always on this Monday, shorter slate, 8 games. Great contest, though. And go ahead, and if you got questions, drop them in the chat here for Steve or myself. Steve, I got to say, the people were worried about you because last weekend you were almost completely MIA. I know you were on a little bit of vacation. And then all day yesterday, people were like, where's Boynton? Where's Boynton? Is he alive? We knew that you were out enjoying the UFC fights. And here you are. So I'm sure the people are going to be relieved that you're back. Welcome back. And it's good to see you on this beautiful Game Log Monday.
Yeah, being in Discord all week, Sundays is usually the time where, I take some time for myself to be away from the chat. You need some time away from the baseball chat at times, especially if you core Jose Barrios yesterday. So didn't feel the need to be in there much because he got shelled. But yeah, no, it was a great weekend. Had a bunch of the RPS guys in town for the UFC event, which was super fun on Saturday night. And yeah, we got interesting 8-gamer. I always like watching your guys' shows on Monday. A little different because I'm usually on Tuesdays and Fridays where it's like 12, 14 games. So we're usually trying to race through, but we can spend a little more time on these. It's a new week. The Cubs, I think, just lost again. We'll talk about that game here because I think it's the only one with weather concerns.
It is.
But yeah, I'm excited to get into it. It's a tough slate. We were kind of talking a bit beforehand in Discord. The pitching on this slate, very, very interesting. I think there's going to be a pretty clear optimal / chalk build. So I'm glad to be on with you because you usually think differently than me on stuff. And yeah, I'm excited.
I agree with you in that I do think it's a tougher slate. I think it's one of those slates where you're going to have to make decisions and live with those decisions, right? It's, all right, this is what I'm playing, and if I'm right, then things will go well. If I'm wrong, maybe it won't go so well. But I just think you have to play that way, especially when we get to some of the more popular plays on this slate and their prices and the way they've been performing. So we'll break that all down as always. We will, and you mentioned, there are times you like to take a little bit of time off from the chat, the Discord. Usually for me, it's like 7:05:01. That is just not the time to be in there. You've got all of I don't want to call anybody names, but you know who you are. Oh, this player's dead. That player's dead. It's just a frustrating time to be in there. I go ahead, I shut the phone off. I watch the games. I eat a little dinner. I enjoy myself, touch a little grass, live some life instead of hearing about the pitcher that's going to ultimately score 40 points being dead. It's just the thing that you need to do. So, but we'll get into this slate here. 8 games. You mentioned the weather in the doubleheader. We're going to talk about that game for a lot of reasons, actually, when we get to it. But we'll kick this off in Boston. One of the more interesting spots I think of the night, Steve, is the Orioles coming off of there's no other way to put it, an offensive explosion yesterday against Christian Javier and the Astros. Now they travel up to Boston. Trevor Rogers, 9K against Dustin May, 6,900. May coming off technically his second best start of the season. The last time he pitched, which was in Houston against the Astros, put up 30 fantasy points. He really hasn't done that well in most of his other games. He hasn't been that consistent. However, he's now 6,900. Rogers has been phenomenal. The results have been phenomenal. But one of the things I noticed, Steve, he's 9K here in this matchup against the Boston team that's only got a 15% strikeout rate against left-handed pitching. They've got a ton of power. And when you look at Rogers, his strikeout rate is down in the low 20%. His price is up to 9K. His estimators, meaning his XFIP and his Sierra, quite a bit higher than his earned run average. Is this a spot where it doesn't seem like people are going to play Trevor Rogers, but is this a spot where maybe Boston's going to go a little bit underlooked here in a surprisingly good matchup.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on Rodgers. I don't love the price tag. I just feel like we're buying at the absolute top in, I think, a tougher matchup than it may look on paper. Boston just not striking out much of late, especially in the split. Fifth lowest strikeout rate over the last 2 weeks. I just don't see Rodgers beating the guys above him too often. We'll talk about Yoshi later. Just a pretty uncomfortable price tag for me going into Fenway here. So I agree there. Dustin May, I don't think is a guy that either of us have played a lot this year, but at this price tag, you mentioned Baltimore going off yesterday. That was actually during both live finals. The Orioles, who have done nothing for a month, win both live finals. But don't think that that's going to be something, that we see too often. If you look at this lineup that we've got here on SaberSim, the back half of this lineup, JT, is not great. They called up their top prospect, the Sayo, but like Jeremiah Jackson, Dylan Beavers, Dylan Carlson, May is going to get some very easy outs in the bottom of this order. The Red Sox did tweak his pitch mix a little bit. For a long time, he was primarily a 2-pitch pitcher. And then with the injuries, with the velo decrease, being a predictable pitcher for a guy like him was just not working. So I kind of like that they're having him throw 4 or 5 different pitches, different looks. So yeah, I think that I'm going to be on May here at this price tag. We'll talk about Nestor Cortez later. I think May is a really interesting pivot to Cortez in that same price range.
The question becomes, and I wrote this in the playbook, which if you're watching, the pictures are up, the offenses are up, the individual players are going to go in here shortly while the lineups come out. But one of the things here is, do we want to chase Dustin May off of a 30-point performance, which was his, as I mentioned, second best start of the year? The other matchup that he thrived in was against the White Sox. Dylan Carlson at the bottom of this lineup, he's hit the ball well. There's some strikeouts, there's some swing and miss. So not sure what I want to do with this game other than the Red Sox being one of the offenses that I want to target here against Trevor Rogers and the Orioles bullpen. So we'll have to see where we end up as we go through. We'll move on to the next game, Steven. This is another interesting one. It is here in Atlanta. It's the White Sox, who they were hot for a little while. They haven't been hot in a little while. The team doesn't have the talent, just does not have the talent. A lot of these guys who they thought they were going to maybe move at the deadline, did not move. And now we're starting to see that maybe this is why other teams weren't all that interested in some of these players. They come into Atlanta, who's actually been hot, been hitting the ball. They take 2 out of 3 from the Mets. I believe it was a sweep of the Guardians over the weekend. It's for the White Sox, Yoendris Gomez, who's 5,500, against Spencer Strider, 10K. Gomez, Steve, a 35% strikeout rate thus far, but they just stretched him out to be a starting pitcher, 89 pitches in his last start. This is going to be a little bit of a different matchup for him. And then Strider, 4 subpar performances in a row. 2 of those I think you could throw out against the Brewers and against the Mets. But this is clearly a pitcher that's not the same as he was before his surgery, although he has had very good performances against teams that you would say are like the White Sox. Yeah. Big performance against the A's, big performance against the Rockies, both at home. What are you doing here? Do you like the Braves offense and Strider? Do you see anything contrarian?
Yeah, I'm on the Braves offense here. I think just kind of looking for anything that's not the Dodgers on this slate is kind of where I want to look. We've got 2 guys starting on this slate that I just don't believe are major league quality starters. And one of them is here with Gomez for the White Sox. This guy's been DFA'd twice already this season by 2 different teams. He's not starting, JT, because they want him to start. They're kind of out of arms. And, he's just kind of eating innings here. Like you said, the Braves have finally gotten going a bit of late. Michael Harris finally having a good couple weeks. And as you can see here, the price tags are really good for this lineup. Outside of Olsen and Acuna, everyone 4K or less. So on a slate where I think people are going to pay down probably more than they should, I think, with the top arms, the Braves kind of fit pretty nicely here. So I kind of like building that way. We'll talk about Yamamoto later. I like him a lot. So I'm trying to find 5-mans that fit with him. And I think the Braves are at the top, if not near the top of the list. It's a bad bullpen behind him here. They could also just have him eat this game if he gets blown up early. Strider's pitching well. This is one that could kind of go sideways. Strider is a guy that, like you said, the velo's down. It's tough, right? Like, he's basically a 2-pitch pitcher. His fastball was so good before the injury that it didn't really matter. And now you're seeing why, 99% of 2-pitch pitchers are not major league starters. So I do have concerns there, but I think that he can get the job done here in this spot. I don't think I'm going to be buying on him every single time out. I think, like you said, we're going to have to pick and choose our spots for Strider. I think this is a good one here. The K prop is at 7.5. And kind of like I said earlier, I think double spending tonight at pitcher is super interesting. I think like a Strider Yoshi combo, if we're able to make that work, where everyone's going to be grasping for 12 points from Cortez, I think is really interesting. So it's kind of a context of the slate type of thing. But I do like the Braves here on both sides, Strider and the bats.
Braves mentioned it have been heating up. ISO near 200. They're putting a lot of runners on base and getting them home. And Gomez's estimators, that 35% strikeout rate's a mirage. That's going to come down very quickly as the innings go on. But more importantly than that, I think the runs too are a mirage. So Binair, this is your highest owned pitcher. You can't wait until the contests come out for tomorrow so you can reserve, because this is not going to go well for him here.
14% walk rate too, JT.
That's the other thing, right? That's the other thing, because I was debating on the playbook. Do I put Gomez or do I put this kid for the Angels? Ultimately, I don't think either one of these guys are going to be in my pool. But I put Gomez on there for the strikeout rate and said, I don't love this. I think the Braves are in a spot here to do some damage at home for the first time in a while. We will talk about Yoshi when we get there, because I'll not bury the lead. He's my favorite pitcher on this slate. Okay. Yeah. There's just no question about it for me on this slate tonight. All right. Next game is in Kansas City. The Rangers offense coming to life all of a sudden here. Big difference, obviously, when you have guys like Corey Seager back, and Rowdy Tellez has actually been good for this team. Mariners DFA him, trade him. All of a sudden, he's hitting a home run almost every single day. They go into Kansas City. It's Jack Leiter at 7,200 against Michael Wacha, 8,200. The issue here with Leiter, it's a nice price. He's got a 25% strikeout rate over the last month. The Royals just don't strike out. And this Texas bullpen, all of a sudden, is bottom 3 in baseball in August. I mean, they're giving up a ton of home runs. They did it the other night in Toronto. So you get a matchup here that it's not a park, Steve, that we love to target for offense often. I only see runs here. I don't really see a lot of love for either of these pitchers. Maybe you can change my mind. Yeah,
I took the over in this game earlier today. I kind of like both sides. It's going to be 97 degrees at first pitch here too. And like we've talked about for years, Kaufman really changes once it gets over 85, 90. Not as much for the home runs, but like with the huge outfield, we see a lot of extra base hits. So I'm with you here. I'm not on either pitcher here. Leiter, 3.5K prop going up against the Royals, who, like you said, just do not strike out. Lowest strikeout rate in all of baseball over the last month against right-handed pitching. And then Wacha, not really a guy that I ever use, has been outperforming his advanced metrics pretty severely since July 1st at 4.61 xFIP on a 2.7 ERA. It's because he's got a 209 BABIP, just not missing any bats lately. So can't use either pitcher here in my eyes. We did get both lineups. I think Salvi Perez was just scratched with an illness. That weakens the KC side a bit, but I'm not really worried. I'm kind of playing the weather here, and like you said, the bad bullpen specifically on the Texas side. So yeah, I do lean KC, but I'm going to have some Texas, probably sticking to, the top 4 or 5 of the lineup here. I don't really want to get involved with Jock Peterson, Cody Freeman, Jonah Heim, guys like that. But yeah, I'm with you. I think this is, like we said, we're looking for spots besides the Dodgers. I think this is a sneaky over spot here.
Yeah, I do want to play Marcus Semien from the Rangers. As VIP points out, he's kind of hot right now. So we'll definitely play him. Other than that, I mean, even Adam Frazier has been hitting the ball. You look at the 5-6. John Ray was hot earlier. He hasn't been lately. It's really, I mean, Kyle Isbell out of nowhere at 2,500.
Yep.
Hit a 3-run home run the other game. So I think this Royals lineup looks pretty strong even without Salvador Perez. And I do like the regression coming for Michael Wacha to play the Rangers as well. Next game we'll get into here is in Chicago, Steve, and you mentioned this, right? There's a couple of different things here that we need to talk about. One, this is the second game of a doubleheader.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 8-0 final for the Brewers in game 1. The Cubs are scuffling right now. They are sending out Jameson Taillon, who's priced at 7,500, 84 pitches in his last rehab start. This is generally not a spot where I would want to use Jameson Taillon or any pitcher really against the Brewers, no matter the price. And then for the Brewers, they're going to start Chad Patrick, 8,700. The thing with the Brewers is how they manage these young pitchers and really how they even manage Brandon Woodruff. Do I want to pay 8,700 for Chad Patrick when I know that he's pretty much only guaranteed 5 innings if he does well? Or is it a situation that, and I don't think it is. I think that's what it is. So there's also some weather here, potential for rain, mid-game, heavy storms that could shut this one down early. So give us the boots on the ground view of the weather, and then what do you think in the Brewers and Cubs?
Yeah, we've seen this a couple times. It's mostly been the White Sox games here, though, where it didn't look that bad early in the day, but then storms hit and just kind of linger all night. We've seen the White Sox postpone several games lately with basically the same setup that we're seeing today. JT, this is a spot where once it starts raining, they're not going to restart this game. I think there's at least some postponement risk. The Brewers are here all week. It's going to be nice the rest of the week. I have some postpone concerns here, but talking as if the game's going to play, I'm with you here. The Chad Patrick price is so annoying to me because when I opened this slate, I was hoping that he would be in that same Nestor Cortez range. He's been in the minors for a month.
7K. Yeah.
Cubs have just been so bad. I've talked about it in chat, on Twitter. I think Kyle Tucker's playing through an injury. He's not driving the ball. 200 slug over the last month for Kyle Tucker. He got booed at the game yesterday. PCA's been horrendous. So yeah, I'm not using Patrick at this price. It's maybe more of a thing for looking forward the rest of the week. I'm not going to be afraid to play pitchers against the Cubs right now. But yeah, it's just kind of a weird game overall because of the doubleheader. We saw Cade Horton leave early in game 1 with a blister. So yeah, the Cubs are just in a bad spot here because Taillon's probably not going to go super deep in this game. They just use 7 innings of bullpen in game 1. But all of that being said, I'm not really sure what I want to do here. If we look at Saber, the price tags for the Brewers, because they've been so good, are just kind of hard to get to in a game that I think might play for 5 or 6 innings and then shut down.
Fair points here. Are you of the mindset to fade? I mean, obviously, the Brewers haven't been good. You really don't want to play them against a guy like Chad Patrick and then the back half of this Brewers bullpen, which has been pretty good.
Yeah.
Are you off of all offense in this game?
I'm off the Cubs for sure. I just don't know what Kyle Tucker and PCA have to do to get a price decrease on DraftKings. They're basically unplayable unless we get some crazy wind blowing out game. So I haven't played Cubs in a couple weeks. I'm going to be off them here. If I played anything, it would be the Brewers bats.
Yeah.
I could see Tyon not pitching well, and the Cubs are kind of out of bullpen arms. I think if I was 150ing, I think I would play some Brewers bats. The issue is the price tags, right? Like you're basically playing Contreras, Yelich over like the Dodgers guys. But I guess the back half of the order is cheap. I don't know. This is the one spot that I don't really know what I'm doing with yet. I do want to wait and see the weather. I think we could get a postponement here though, which is obviously scary.
Postponement would be, postponement if it came before lock would be beautiful. The question then becomes, obviously, and of course, this is where our Discord is so valuable, because we're going to have that information. We're going to have information about what the most updated weather is, and we'll help you make those decisions about whether or not you want to play any bats from this game. Steve and I in alignment that we're not going to be playing the arms here on this slate anyway for this game. All right. Next game is a game that obviously is a decision point, Steve, on this slate, as it has been really since, I don't know, let's say the middle of June, when the Rockies decided to start trading any even halfway decent arm from their bullpen. It's been one of the worst bullpens in not just all of baseball this year, but in recent memory. And now you get the Dodgers going in to Colorado with a 7-team total. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is 9,400 here against the Rockies. He's coming off of a down performance against the Angels, but he did score 26 points against this Rockies team earlier in the year in Colorado. And outside of that last performance, his estimators, his metrics, best pitcher on the slate. It's not even questionable as Yoshi Yamamoto from that standpoint. They'll face Kyle Freeland, who's now priced down at 4,500. It's one of the reasons, Steve, why I'm so disappointed that Big T is not with us, because I love to get his take on the Rockies pitchers. We often will chat about Rockies pitching. Him more chaotically, hoping that they're going to put in a good performance, me laughing. But Kyle Freeland, 4,500, Yoshi Yamamoto, 9,400. I think Yamamoto at 20% ownership is just an outstanding leverage play to get over the field on him here on this slate, regardless of where you go at SP2. If you go up to Strider, there's a couple of other guys we'll talk about. But let's talk about the Dodgers, because it hasn't been for the Dodgers. And again, you can forgive them, the World Series champion, reigning, defending World Series champions. They're likely going to get in the postseason. They're likely going to win the NL West no matter what's happened over the last couple of weeks here. Look, a game at altitude in Colorado in the middle of the summer, kind of hard to give a pass for saying, look, these things aren't all that important. And their prices are up there. $7K for Ohtani, $5,700 for Mookie Betts, who hasn't really been hitting the way that we're used to seeing Mookie Betts. So you've got elevated prices. They're going to be at least 20% owned. So you got the ownership thing there. Talk to us about this Rockies-Dodgers game.
Yeah, they're also coming off a weekend sweep against the rival Padres. I'm with you. It's a weird spot for them. Probably not going to be up for this game. Vegas disagrees with us that they've got the team total 2 runs high, a full 2 runs clear of the next team. So yeah, it's an interesting spot for the Dodgers here. It's just kind of how do you play them? Every guy that you want is over 5K. The back third of this lineup, JT, has been extremely pinch hit risky for several weeks now. I'm not sure Alex Freeland has finished a game that he started over the last 2 weeks. He's been terrible regardless. And you're playing him at, Sabres got 30% ownership right here. So,
this is the other thing, right? If this lineup is the lineup that is the one that Dave Roberts puts out, and this is what I put in the playbook too. You got Alex Call, Alex Freeland, and Miguel Rojas. 2 of those 3 guys are going to be gone from the lineup once Kyle Freeland is gone. Although Uncle T is here saying, how do we not play Freeland at 4,500? I know he's joking, so I won't even get into it. But go ahead and tell me what you're doing with these Dodgers.
Yeah, so I'm going to be underweight on the Dodgers in this spot, not because of anything that I think, Freeland's going to pitch that well. At these price tags, not only do they have to score, I think, more than their implied team total
Yeah.
The cheap pitchers also have to do at least well, and
outlier performances. You need outlier performances from all
both
these
sides
guys,
here.
right? It's not a single home run for Ohtani. It's not a single home run for Freddie Freeman or Will Smith. It's a home run and a double and 3 RBIs. It's 2 home runs for all of those players. And then you need Nestor Cortez to pitch like he did in the minor leagues, right? I mean, you need so much to go right.
Yeah.
If you play into this chalk.
Also, even if that does happen, 30 to 40%. Like if you're playing Dodgers and Cortez, that's why I like May so much. I think May's got even more upside than Cortez. I think May can go deeper we can talk about Cortez later. I think that combination is a poor way to play, especially at the ownership that we're looking at here. These have been creeping up all day. 7K Shohei Ohtani at 45% owned, left on left. It's just a play that I usually don't make. I'm going to be with you here, JT. Going to be fading the Dodgers on my main team at least, and going elsewhere. I obviously understand the play. Like, I know that you put it in the playbook. I do it every time that I write the stacks. It's like there isn't anything more that we can say about playing stacks against the Rockies, right? Like they're a terrible bullpen. Like you said, they traded away the only bullpen pieces they had, and those guys have already been sent down to the minors. Jake Bird's not even pitching for the Yankees. I think this is Yamamoto. I'm more interested in being way over on Yamamoto than I am in the Dodgers here. At 20% owned, I think he's by far the best play on the slate. I'm thinking of playing like 50 plus of Yamamoto here. I think he's going to go deep in this game. The Dodgers probably control it. He goes 6-7 innings, gives us 25 plus. I like him more than Strider here because I think that, I think Yamamoto has a clean outing more often than Strider does here. I'm going to be well over on Yamamoto. I'm going to be under on the Dodgers. I'm going to be very careful using the back third of this lineup. I hope that when this game locks, that Alex Freeland is 30% owned, and we'll see what happens. Like that's why earlier, just trying to look for other spots that could beat the Dodgers. We're not trying to outscore how many runs they put up, but like you said, at these price tags, if you're playing 5 guys that are all 5K or more, you need every single one to crush. So could that happen here? Yes. The combination, I just am not in love with tonight specifically.
And in terms of, for this game, one of the things with this slate, my biggest fear when I opened it and took a look at it and saw Dodgers in Colorado, 7 team total, saw the prices, my biggest fear was that I really hope there's other spots I like and that there's other spots that I could reasonably see a lot of runs being scored, because otherwise you're kind of stuck with this. But on this slate, I do think there's other spots where you can reasonably see the Dodgers team total being totally outscored. So I think that's the way I'm going to go as well. Of course, Uncle T has now talked himself in to playing Kyle Freeland. Uncle T, you do not have a hair on your old ass if you don't put Kyle Freeland in that core for your nephew tonight. Can't wait to see it.
JT, before we move on, we just got the Dodgers lineup. So I think we should talk about this just for a second. We've got no Will Smith. It's rushing in there. And we've got Kennedy playing at third base, who's got to be free. If he's not in the player pool, we'll get captain on their asses. Buddy Kennedy, 3K.
We want people playing Buddy Kennedy, don't we?
I know, yes. Yeah. He's 3K. So that's going to make the Dodgers even higher owned because now you get rushing over 6K Will Smith. You get 3K Buddy Kennedy to balance things out. So, man, those guys are going to be so owned. It's going to be crazy.
Yes.
JT, we're going to be arm in arm on this. So I hope it goes well.
We'll see. Time will tell. Like I said, from 7:05 on, we'll be maybe out of the Discord for a while. Then, depending on how this goes, we'll stay out the whole night and come back tomorrow for another day. Brittany says he's in the pool. So he's in the pool at 3K. Go ahead and you can refresh that. All right, next game is one. All these games are interesting to me tonight. Steve, there's a lot of different interesting spots here, I think. It's a good game theory slate, but a good game if you dive in a little bit. Okay, where is the edge in all of these different spots? This one in Anaheim, the Reds going out to play the Angels. For the Reds, Brady Singer at 8K. Victor Medeiros is 5K here. 17% strikeout rate for Medeiros to go along with, I think, an 18% walk rate. So I'll just tell you flat out, I don't believe Medeiros is going to be in my pool. Brady Singer is a little tougher. 27% strikeout rate over the last month, Steve, but he's got massive home road splits. Like his games where he's putting up 30 are all at Great American Ballpark. Then he goes out and he pitches on the road, and he's like -5. I mean, this is what he's done for a little while now. Where do you land on the Reds and the Angels?
I like the Reds bats here a lot. You mentioned it. We talked about it a bit earlier. Couple pitchers that are starting that just are not major league quality. Medeiros is one of those. Fangraphs with a 35 future value on him. We don't really see 35s too often because 35s don't usually make it to the major leagues. So we're never looking up those players and seeing 35s. So yeah, it's uncomfortable. You're playing the Reds outside of Great American, but Angel Stadium isn't a bad park, especially for home runs, especially since they changed the outfield walls a couple of years ago. We get him and just a really shitty Angels bullpen behind him. It's not comfortable, but I really like the Reds in this spot. They are dirt cheap outside of LA too. So uncomfortable to be playing the Reds. It's not a team that I play often. I'm sure that you don't either, but I think that they're one of the teams that can beat the Dodgers on this slate, especially these price tags. Like Friedel, Steer, both under 4K, and Duhar's probably hitting cleanup for under 4K. Balance that out with Ellie, and I just really like Cincy here. I'm more torn on what to do with Singer here. He has been good lately. He gets a very right-handed lineup. Singer as a fastball slider guy, going to be much better in that split against righties. So I'm going to play some Singer here, more of a context of the slate type of thing. I don't love a lot of pitching, but I do like he has a good K prop here. I think he, has a good chance at the win based on what we just said about the Reds. So I'm going to tentatively have some Singer here. I don't mind if you're not playing Singer, playing some power bats against him, like you said. So this is another game that's basically all offense for me, but I think the best plays are the Reds lineup here.
Agree with you on the Reds. I did put the Angels in the playbook just because those home road splits are so severe. Yeah. But I also put Singer on the playbook because of the Angels' 30% strikeout rate against right-handed pitching. And even when they put up runs in Sacramento this weekend against the A's, they were still striking out 7-8 times a game. You do the math. Let's say Brady Singer gives up a couple of bombs. Let's say he gives up 4 runs, but he strikes out 9 guys.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at a performance where he could be in the optimal based on what we think of some of the other popular pitchers on this slate. Ace Amigos is in here. He says, y'all completely skipped over the Colorado bats, LOL. So let me talk to you, Ace Amigos. I know it might be your first time here. When the two people that are on the program say that a pitcher on the slate is their favorite pitcher, you can reasonably infer that means that we're not playing the opposing bats. So if both Steve and myself say that we want to play more than 50% Yoshi Yamamoto, one can reasonably infer that that means we're not going to be playing the Colorado Rockies bats. I hope that that was instructive, and I'm sorry if you missed that. Thank you, Christian Leone, for pointing out how nice we are. So, okay. The other thing, by the way, on the Reds here, Miguel Andujar, he might be the pickup of the deadline, except for Brian Hayes all of a sudden figured out how to hit the ball. I don't know what they're doing with their hitting coach in Cincinnati, but these two guys were like, the A's didn't want Andujar. He just hits, it seems like, a grand slam every single game. Brian Hayes has been hitting home runs. He's 2,600 in the 9-hole. This Reds team is very Very, very intriguing to
Not
me.
even the hitting coach could help Gavin Lux, though. Poor Gavin Lux.
I hope. Well, it doesn't. He's not in the projected lineup, so there we go. All right, everybody getting a kick out of Ace Amigos, Scary Creations. Yes, I am asking you to have a inclination and a curiosity greater than a fourth grader. All right. Next game, only two games late. Uncle T, you're gonna get me. You're gonna get me to lose my temper here. All right.
That can be said about a lot of people too.
Yeah, and it's not true. It's not true. JSU, how friendly am I when those things happen? JSU knows. All right. 2 games left. Guardians swept by the Braves. Now they head into Arizona. Gavin Williams, 8,500. Zach Gallen, 7,800. And this is a spot where 4-5 run total for Cleveland, 4-7 for the Diamondbacks. And Steve, Gavin Williams is one of the pitchers on this slate, very similar to Brady Singer. He's shown 30-point upside. He's also shown that downside. So I think this is a spot where I'm leaving Gavin Williams in the pool and not terribly in love with Arizona bats, especially just coming out of Colorado, where they did okay for Colorado, but not like you would expect. Maybe some of the fatigue of being out of the playoff race, some of these guys that really aren't major league level players in the lineup every day is starting to catch up with them. And then Zach Gallen used to be very consistent this year, very, very inconsistent. But man, this Guardians team is all of a sudden just striking out a lot, not having any power. I could see this being a pitcher's duel as opposed to an offensive showcase. So I'm going to have both Williams and Gallen in my pool, going to be lower on these offenses. I may play more Cleveland just because of how bad the Diamondbacks bullpen has become since the trade deadline. They're one of the worst bullpens in the game. But the Guardians, they just don't really do enough to get you excited on a slate like this. What do you think about this game in Arizona?
Yeah, coming out of the deadline, tried to play a lot of pitchers right away against this Diamondbacks team, kind of thinking that they would do what it looks like they're trending, and that is kind of fall apart offensively. Like you said, outside of Marte, Carroll, Gurriel, and Perdomo, this lineup is just not great. And I think it's going to kind of continue to go that way. We saw Gavin Williams with the most JT Hayes spot last time out after throwing 126 pitches, gets blown up, pulled early. I think it's a good bounce back spot here. I think he's got good upside for the price. I'm with you. I'm under on the offenses here. I'm playing both of these pitchers. More of like tournament plays, right? Because pretty wide range of outcomes for both pitchers here. But both are in my pool. I think the only bats I'm going to leave in here are one-offs and secondary stacks. I'm not sure if I've five-man the Guardians the entire season for the same reasons that you were just talking about. It's really tough for them to turn this lineup over with how bad the back half is. I think that's going to be the case with Arizona as we go down the stretch. They were hot for a week or two, getting outlier performances from the back half of the order. I don't think that that's going to continue. So I'm with you. I'm on the pitchers here and very little interest in the bats.
Someone is saying that there is no Andujar for the Reds tonight. I have not seen a Reds lineup come out. I'm not by any means. Is it out?
Hurtful if he's not in there.
Yeah. Steve Kreitzen, who usually is very dependable and reliable with his news. So I'm going to.
He's not in the lineup. We just got it.
Okay. All right. See, this is why, because I know that Steve has come to us with good reporting in the past. All right. So no Andujar. Does that mean who's in there then? That's
Lux is hitting second over Andujar.
Why do they do this?
That is hurtful.
Lux is a pinch hit guy too.
Yep. So yeah, Friedel, Lux, Ellie, Austin Hayes hitting cleanup, Marte up to fifth, Steer, Trevino, the other Hayes, the third baseman, Cabrian Hayes hitting eighth, and McLean hitting ninth. Been a real tough season for Matt.
Yeah. Lion Cubs says the Rockies lineout is up. If you wanted to check it out for any batters, we appreciate that. All I had to do, no, Don't need to look at it for batters. Thank you very much. All right, last game on the slate, and it's the Giants heading into San Diego. Robbie Ray, 9,700. Nestor Cortez, 6,500. Nestor Cortez looks like he's going to be 50% of. And that is shocking because his numbers are bad. His performances have been mid to bad since he joined the Padres. And when you look at the Giants, and I'm just going to pull up their numbers in August against left-handed pitching, right? 29% strikeout rate, 0.53 ISO, 32 weighted runs creation plus.
It's like the Cubs.
It is. The numbers are bad. The numbers are bad. But I don't think there's a universe where Nestor Cortez should be 50% on this slate against any team. The issue is it's hard to get behind playing the Giants. I mean, I'm not going to be playing 50% Cortez, I can tell you that. But it's a spot where, Steve, if there's any justice in the world, after getting swept by the Dodgers, now coming home, maybe this is just a spot where the Padres just that hangover and they get humiliated by Robbie Ray and the Giants. I don't know. I can't make an argument for playing Cortez other than it's the Giants, and that's usually not a good enough argument for a major league pitcher. Robbie Ray, on the other hand, has been in a little bit of a down period here. He did just face the Padres and got beat up a little bit, but in 13 innings against the Padres this year, he still has 13 strikeouts. He's given up 6 earned runs. If the run prevention holds, maybe Robbie Ray could be a good play on this slate. I'm probably going to have some of him in my pool, not a ton, because he still does have that upside. I don't know about Cortez. Tell us what you're doing here with 50% owned Cortez and the Giants and the Padres.
Yeah, we touched on this when we talked about the Dodgers. This combo is just going to be so owned. Even if it hits, you're still not even guaranteed to win that much money. So I just think there's a lot of ways that this goes bad in that combination. Cortez, like you said, has been bad. He's got 5.22 xFIP since coming back. The walk rate is up. He has gotten lucky with his strand rate, a lot of fly balls, and JT, I think the biggest thing for him is zero leash. If everything goes right, you're getting 5 out of Nestor. We've already seen him get pulled prior to finishing 5 innings. I think both starts since coming back. As we know, the Padres, after the moves at the deadline, have the best bullpen in baseball. That's more the reason that I don't want to play the Giants is if Cortez gets into any trouble, he's out of there, and you just have to go up against this gnarly bullpen. So it's tough. Yeah, like the Giants lost Chapman and they lost Schmidt over the weekend. This is not a good lineup. You gave all the stats. If you just look at it, you can tell why they can't hit left-handed pitching. I do think that I'm going to keep like Ramos, Devers, Adames in the pool. I just don't want to be stacking maybe for like the rest of the season against this Padres team. You're just not going to get any runs late if the game is remotely close. So this is a game that's probably going to be close. I agree with you on Ray. I don't play many pitchers against the Padres, but in the context of this slate, I do want to be paying up for pitching because no one that plays the Dodgers is able to play these guys. So that's kind of the way that I'm going to play this slate. We'll see if it works out. But, yeah, I think Ray can have a clean outing, give us 20. 20 plus on this slate. If Cortez gets, 5 is going to play great. So that's kind of the way I'm leaning here. I'll be under the field on Nestor. I'm obviously going to have some because of the projection, but not even close to where his ownership projection is. We talked earlier. I do like Dustin May over him for only 400 more. May not a guy that I'm in love with, but I think May is closer to a talent that deserves a higher salary than where he's at. I think Cortez is probably priced about where he's going to be the rest of the year. Whereas May, with this new pitch mix change, I think there's room for his salary to go up. Whereas I just don't think that they're ever going to let Cortez pitch long enough for his salary to deserve to go up. So I was kind of a long way around of saying that, man, it would be really tough for me, especially like in the 121, to play Cortez and 5 Dodgers. I just don't think that's the right way tonight.
Couple of notes here on the Giants. Was looking at some line movement and home run props, line movement to the positive for Elliot Ramos and Rafael Devers. So that's something of note here. The other thing, and I want to get your thoughts on this, agree with you completely about this Padres bullpen. Don't play them. Don't stack against them a lot for that reason.
Yeah.
However, is this a scenario if Cortez goes 2 2/3 or an inning and 2/3, where maybe you don't see those good bullpen arms, where maybe you get a backup, not the lower leverage arms here, and maybe the Giants can come out of this slump that they're in, helped out by Cortez? Because I could see like a scenario where he walks the bases loaded and Devers hits a jack, right?
Yep.
And then they got to get the bullpen up, but by the time they're up, it's now, the next inning, and they let Cortez go out there, gives up another jack. And now you're not bringing in the best arms. Again, I get everything about the park and the good bullpen, but thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was just pulling up what the bullpen did over the weekend for the Padres while you were talking. They used Suarez, Jason Adam, Estrada, and Morejon yesterday. That helps too, because the only guys that they have that didn't pitch yesterday, outside of Mason Miller, obviously, are the more middle relief arms. Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch just because it's the combination of the possibility of the good bullpen and how shitty the Giants have been. I'm definitely not stacking, but I do like playing Ramos, Adames, Devers here. I think it's super interesting.
Other piece before I leave this game, San Francisco bullpen. They traded away their good pieces at the deadline. Everybody pretty much gone. They've been on this slate the 5th worst bullpen since the trade deadline. The Padres, they just never seem to get there as a stack. What are your thoughts on the Padres bats here? I think I would prefer to play Ray than the Padres, but I think I'm leaving the Padres in the pool for stacking.
Yeah, I like Ray. I think so. We've got the Padres lineup is in Laureano. Great pickup at the deadline, was crushing for the O's, hitting cleanup here, 4K against a lefty. Really like him. I think he's a good one-off. The deal with Ray is, when it goes wrong for him, it's usually walk power, right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, not the best park, but this is a smaller slate. This is why I was pumped to be on the show, because you get to talk more about each game and not just like, we're not playing these guys next. And also, there's different strategies on this smaller slate. So I see it. I do prefer the top of the order guys for the Giants just because you're running right into the chalk pitcher, whereas it's not that much leverage going against Ray because I don't think he's going to be very owned. Whereas if it goes bad for Nestor, it's very likely going to be those top of the order bats for the Giants. All of those people who played him are dead, and you're in a good spot.
Yeah, and you shoot to the top, right? Ray, Yoshi, Strider, then Singer, Williams, Gallen, and then Rogers. That's kind of the guys on this slate with the demonstrated 30-point upside. When I say demonstrated, means somewhat semi-consistently at times in their careers. Rogers, I'm off. And I think there you go. And that's why Ray is in the pool, because he's only going to be 5 to 10% owned. And it's just a good way to go potentially. We saw it in the winners yesterday with very low owned Nathan Eovaldi, and I'm sorry, Steve, but Andrew Abbott as well. Abbott, I faded yesterday because I said, why would I ever play a 9K pitcher against the Brewers? We don't need to talk about it.
The first good pitching performance against the Brewers since the deadline.
Yes.
And it has to be Abbott.
Yes. And I bring it up in the context of saying I didn't play him thinking, and so I'm going to play Ray, even if it's just the 10% matching the field, maybe a little bit more. All right. I think for both of us, the most important pitcher to our night is going to be Yoshi Yamamoto. So let me ask you, who is the second most important pitcher to your night?
Nestor Cortez, but not because we're using it.
And then everybody else is going to be relying on him, right?
I think it's going to end up being Dustin May, just in that same price range as a pivot to Cortez. Sabres got him at half the ownership. I think it's going to be even. I think the discrepancy is going to be larger than that. I think at the projection that we're seeing for Cortez across the industry, it's going to be hard for him to just not be 50% owned, especially like in the single entry stuff. So
yeah,
I would just be careful with him. But so it's May, and then I mean at 4%, Gavin Williams, he's got to be a great tournament play here.
Yeah,
he can pop a big one, as we've seen in 2 of his last 4 starts. So Spencer,
a big one. I'm with you on Williams. I'm going to play more Zach Gallen in the field. And I got a question for you, since we're talking about pitching. And Uncle T said that Ace Amigos can't believe we're not playing the Rockies. So, question here: what are the chances that Kyle Freeland outscores Nestor Cortez?
He probably outscores him 30% of the time.
So 30%. And this is why Big T is going to be upset that he missed this show, because we're actually talking about, in serious terms, using a Rockies pitcher. And Uncle T says 4 out of 10.
Yeah. The issue is when he beats him 6-4, it's not going to matter.
Right. So let me phrase this differently. What are the chances that Freeland puts up a usable fantasy score as opposed to Cortez?
So I think the way that I would think about it is, who are you playing that you need to use Freeland? Because the only super expensive team is the team that he's facing. So like, if you're using Freeland, what bats are you getting up to, right? Like, if there was a game in Sacramento with, a good team that was in there and they were expensive, I think that he would be more interesting, because, can you even use all the salary if you play Freeland and a 5-man? I'm not even sure. I haven't played around with it. Like maybe with the Brewers or something, but we don't love that spot anyways. So I think that would be the reason why he's not in play, other than he's going up against a 7-team total. Unless
you wanted to play a team where whatever team you 5-man, and then you want to go something like Ellie, Acuna, someone else who's expensive, right?
Yeah, that's a DC special.
That would be the other way.
Yep.
All right. So it sounds like we're both on the same page in terms of being underweight on the Dodgers, which, I mean, look, it's worked out a lot in cores. It really has. I mean, even as bad as this team is, meaning the Rockies and their bullpen, the Rockies games, the opponents haven't been on the winner a bunch. They were not on the winner multiple times, multiple slates over the weekend. The Diamondbacks were not. So who is the most important offense to your success tonight?
I think it's going to be, like we were talking about, the 2 offenses that are facing the 2 pitchers that I don't believe should be in the major leagues, and that's the Braves and the Reds. These guys are not making starts because the team wants them to. These are last resort guys with shitty bullpens behind them. I think that's super important. We talked about what could happen with the White Sox starter here, especially if Strider is mowing. If it's 7-0 early, they could just have him eat it, send him to AAA at 11 p.m. tonight.
Absolutely. I think that game in Kansas City,
I
think there's going to be some offense there. The Royals, I'm on board with the Royals. I'm on board with at least the top 6 of the Rangers, and even the way that they're priced, It's not like you have to go and play a Cody Freeman or a Jock Peterson in order to fit in your pitchers. VIP, not surprisingly, knows the pricing of every Rangers player on this slate and every slate in the past. So, all kidding aside, I think the Rangers are good plays. All right. Lion Cubs has one last question. If you can type it in the next 30 seconds, we'll answer it. We like the Angels. Is Yaz still pinch hit risk?
Yes.
Has he been? Has he talked to us?
Yeah. So they've been basically platooning him and Nick Lofton, believe it or not.
That's right. You're right.
And the only reason I know that is because multiple times last week, JT, the Royals, were starting to rally, and I have Yaz coming up with a couple guys on, and I changed my TV to the game, and fucking Nick Lofton is at bat
Very hurtful.
Instead of my leadoff hitter in my 5-man stack.
Right.
So,
yeah. So there you go, Lion Cubs. I hope that answers your question. For everybody else, the playbook will be done here in about 3 to 5 minutes with the hitters that'll be in there. I'm going to add the Reds to the playbook as well, and the Royals. Not sure if I have them on. Core plays will be up. The slate builder will be up. I think Big Platoon's going to be up. Uncle T's on course tonight. You can see Kyle Freeland in his core, hopefully, if he has.
You're giving that away, for free to the.
Giving the Kyle Freeland core play away for free, which is incredible value. But go ahead, get in there. Run Pure Sports RPS 15 for your first month free, something like that. First month 15% off. JBC 100K win gets you your first week for free. Go ahead, get in there. Hit us up in the Discord. For Steve, I'm JT. Good luck in your contests tonight.